that was a little tougher? Now you got 24 hours. Now it's one?
One.
Now you only get to choose one. One on each column. That's the tough one. So we're going to show it to that person when you finish. This key. Everybody finished? Anybody not finished? Okay. You're one person. Dad.
My brother.
Brother. That one? All
Yes.
right. Good choice.
Cross you out.
It wasn't reciprocal. Okay. Your sister. Who? Oh, okay. Eminem, okay. Your family, yeah, but yeah, we're getting there, but you gotta choose one. It's tough. It makes you think. Your sister, okay. Usually for the girls, it's mom. Usually for the guys, it's dad. Your brother, mom. Mom. Best friend. Dad. Mom. Your mom. Okay. Place.
Home.
Home. Home, of course.
Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium. Okay. Where? Oh, the country. Okay. Have you been there before? You like them? You don't remember? Okay. Detroit. Italy? Oh. Okay. Any place in particular?
My home.
Home? New York. Any place in particular? Just out in Fifth Avenue or? Okay. Disney. World or land? World. Amsterdam. Any place in particular? No? You remember, we only got 24 hours. You're going to get there. You're going to have to decide. Vietnam. Have you been there? No? Home. Hawaii. Any place in particular? Okay. Home. Italy. To Italy. Okay. A thing.
The tiger. I want to deal with it once it gets bigger. So, something like that.
The tiger.
The plot of land.
Plot of land. Okay. Any particular plot of land?
No, just so I can enjoy it.
Okay. Money. How much? So you can take with you? To give. Oh, there you go. Money to give. A big house. To give. A horse? To be buried with you or? Okay. To give as well. Food. Particular kind of food?
And
Okay. You don't know? Actually, that's a good answer. I'll explain you why. Your dogs. You don't know. A dog. Not to take with you, just to have their spend time. Okay? It's not something you would want to have before. Okay. Money to give. Okay. Beginning?
Lamborghini.
Oh, Lamborghini, so to be buried in. Okay, you don't want to give that one away. Okay. A car, Lamborghini too? You don't know what kind? Anyone, as long as it's got air conditioning. Okay. Actually, when I did it yesterday, Saturday, I didn't have anything either. I figured if I'm dead, I don't have it. What do I want anything for? I'm going to paradise, right? So I like your answer about nothing. You don't have any attachments. And turn it over to Neo.
Right. This is a really good exercise, and I recommend that every year on your birthday, pull out a sheet of paper and write the people that are most important to you, and do it with 10 things, 10 names, okay? Because you'll see there's going to be a change every year, from year to year. Your friends will change, your situation changes. The people that you think are important might not be important the next year or the year following. And if you do it year after year after year, you know, towards maybe when you're older, you can pull those sheets of paper out and you can just have a snapshot of your life. And it starts making you realize that what are who the people are that are really important in your life. The things that you thought were once important. We got some different answers from the 5th graders. They picked iPhones and stuff because their mind is at a different age. Some of them picked Michael Jordan shoes, but you all picked, you know, some bigger stuff like plot of land. That was, I would have never thought of that. Plot of land. When he said the first time he said plot of land, I thought of burial plot. And I said, wow, this kid is thinking really ahead, you know. But plot of land, I mean, it could be any plot of land, right, to enjoy, like a farm. Yeah, so there were some pretty good answers. So what did you all think? Did any of you all write mom and dad together? I mean, like mom and dad, and then you had to scratch out either mom or dad. That was a really tough one, right?
He scratched off his brother.
Yeah, he scratched off his brother. So, makes you think, right? I think we did, I went over this once before with you all, but I want to reiterate it again so that it sticks in our memory. Any of y'all know what a sieve is? We talked about it before, so y'all should remember now. What is a sieve? S-I-E-V-E. Like it's usually in the kitchen.
Like a colander.
Like a colander. It's a big bowl that's got a lot of holes in it. You know what I'm talking about? What do we use that for in the kitchen?
Like filter?
Like to drain stuff out, right? So if you're cooking, like your mom is boiling elbow noodles or something and she puts the elbow noodles in there, what happens? What happens? What does the colander do? It drains all the water out and leaves the egg noodles in the noodles inside, right? So the same way we think of the human heart. Our heart has got a big hole in it. And we think that we need certain things to fill that hole in our heart. But how come every time we want something so bad and we think, okay, if I get that one thing, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be satisfied. But once we get that thing, it no more makes us happy anymore. Then our mind shifts and we want something else. So what is that one thing that could fill our heart and we would be satisfied? Like, remember we talked about even the skin on our bodies having holes in it? And supposing you're running like 5 miles and you're running really fast, what happens to your body? It's sweating, right? So what's coming out? Water. Water is a liquid, but the water is a liquid that's smaller than the holes in our skin. That's why the water can come through. So why doesn't the blood come through? Unless we have a cut. Because the blood is thicker than the hole in our skin. That's why the blood stays inside. Do you all understand? So the same way in our heart, think of our heart, it's a spiritual lesson. There's not really a hole in our heart, but spiritually God has put a hole in our heart. That no matter what we put inside, we fill it with people, we can fill it with places, we can fill it with things. But nothing will fill it and satisfy it. What is the one thing that goes in our heart that can fulfill and satisfy our heart? What do you think? What's the only thing big enough that can fill our heart up? Come on, John, not a rocket science answer. God. Right? It's just God. And until, St. Augustine, he said that our hearts are restless until we find our rest in thee. And that's what he meant, that there's a hole in our heart which cannot be satisfied with anything material from this world, because our heart, it's a spiritual thing. We say we love from our heart. We know is that true? Because all of the synapses and everything that's going off, where does it go off? When we get attracted to somebody, where is it all happening? Huh? It's happening in the head, right? But we still connect the heart to it, right? So, what do you all think of this exercise? You all got it? Okay. It kind of brings you down to the realization of what's important to you at this point in your life. One more exercise. What I want you to do is, I want you to think of Jesus, okay? And I want you to put down about 20 words that you think describes Jesus. What is Jesus to you? So we are using descriptive words, okay, describing him. What kind of a person is he? Is it really that hard to describe Jesus? One more minute. They always put these markers with no tip. Every week.
I got them.
All right, let's stop. Let's start with Paul. What words did you use to describe him? Compassionate. If y'all don't have the words, right, add it to your list. What else? Trustworthy. Okay. Kind. Okay, what else? What did you say? Forgiving? Forgiving, okay. Any more? Blessed? Okay, for blessed, I'm going to use the word anointed, okay, because he was anointed. That's why he's called the Messiah. Okay, any more?
Yes.
Giving? Did you have any more? How about you? Anything to add to that list? Caring, okay. I think that would be under kind, right? Kind and caring is about the same, so we write it over here. Kind and caring, okay? Loving? Okay. Thoughtful? Okay. Any words to add? Open-minded? Any more? Inspirational? Okay. Any more to add to that list? Courageous? Okay, any more? Spiritual? Well, that would be spirit-filled, okay? Okay, any more? Young lady?
Reliable.
Reliable? Okay, any more?
Admirable.
Admirable? Any more?
Wise.
Wise, okay. That's it? You have any more to add to the list?
A realist,
I'm sorry?
a realist,
A realist? Any more?
sacrifice, sympathetic, empathetic,
Okay. So that would all come under kind and caring, but what was the one you just said?
sympathetic,
Sympathetic? And the one before that? Oh,
what was it? The one after,
no, the first one you said.
a realist,
A realist. Okay, any more?
Leader.
Leader? Some good ones coming up. Any-
Intelligent.
I'm sorry?
Intelligent.
Intelligent, okay, that would be under wise. I think we got wise there somewhere, right? Yes. Wise or wisdom. Any for you?
powerful,
Powerful? Okay. John?
Patient.
Patient? Okay. Any more?
Hard work.
Hardworking? I think we got quite a lot on there, right? Basically, it's going to be quite a good list. We're going to go back to story time. Story time. You know what the words, the Bible tells us that Jesus was like? Now think about these words and think what these things. They say he was angry. He was violent. He was a name-calling. Offensive. Rude. Uncaring. Abusive. A drunkard. Company of prostitutes. Company of sinners. Company of tax collectors. That's the picture that the Bible gives us about Jesus. Totally different picture, right? Because we always love to think about all the ooh la 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 stuff about Jesus. Even in our painting, we portray him as a woman with like almost a woman's face with a beard. He looks so spiritual and he's like all ooh, like so effeminate, like feminine, almost feminine. We think of him as such a kind person that he doesn't do anything to hurt anybody, or he would just be watching every step he takes not to offend anybody. But that's totally the opposite picture of what the Bible tells us about Jesus. Jesus was a man's man. He had courage. You can't be a man without having courage to stand up for your convictions. Right? Who is Jesus? Jesus is what? He's God, right? Okay, so in the Bible, whenever we are in doubt, we always go back to the Bible, because the Bible is the basis for truth, right? Because Jesus said, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. So every time we need the truth, we go back to the Bible, and the Bible is the one that is going to give us the truth. So where was the first time in the Bible that we saw God get angry? Come on guys, we've been over this so many times.
When at the market,
When what?
when he was knocking over the tables at the market.
No, we are talking about in the Bible. The whole Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament. So where's the first time in the Bible that we see God get angry? Come on. No right answer, no wrong answer. Just say it. Adam and Eve. Exactly. When Adam and Eve sinned and they ate the apple, God came, it says he came like the sound of a rushing wind. He was angry. He came in the garden looking for them. But he didn't come to beat them and spank them. Right? But there was judgment. And what did God do? What was the punishment that he gave them?
He kicked them out.
He kicked them out. He didn't come and tell them, oh, okay, come, you're my kids, I'm going to forgive you and I'm going to give you another chance. No, he laid the rules down and he told them, if you do this, this is going to happen to you. And they did it, and there was a consequence, right? So we know that God, even though he's kind, now where did God show his kindness to Adam and Eve? Even before he passed judgment on them, how did he show them kindness? How did he show them kindness? The same story of Adam and Eve. We've gone over this before. Did God show them kindness before he kicked them out? What did God tell Adam and Eve? What did God tell Adam? God didn't tell Eve, God told Adam. God told Adam, if you eat the fruit from the tree, you will die, right? In that day you will die. If God wanted it, God could have been justified in killing Adam and Eve off right over there. That would have been the end of the story. Correct? And nobody could have blamed God, because he said, he told them, he warned them beforehand. If you eat this, you're going to die. But did God show them kindness? How did he show them kindness? He didn't kill them right away. What did he do? Instead of killing them, what did he do?
He clothed them.
He clothed them. And to clothe them, what did he have to do? Where did he get the clothes from to clothe them? He had to kill something, right? He killed. So God killed an animal. So the animal, the blood of the animal did not take away their sin. It just postponed their sin for a period. Okay? Now, why would the animal's blood only postpone their sin for a period? Why? Because exactly, she got it. Because an animal's life is not worth the same as a human life. The animal is on a lower plane. Only a human can die for a human. Okay? You understand? That's why all through the Old Testament, where they had the sacrificial system in place, the Jews would have to go every year to the temple to sacrifice the lamb. And their sins were put away at that sacrifice of that lamb for 1 year. Then the next year they had to go do it again. Only when the perfect man came, the perfect man, right? Because when the Israelites would bring the lamb, the high priest or the priest would examine the lamb to make sure that there was no blemish at all in the lamb. So was there another man that could stand in the gap for us? Because every man has original sin in him, right? It comes in through the DNA or whatever you want to call it. You know how many chromosomes go to make up a baby? Do you know? 46. 23 from the father, 23 from the mother, right? And the baby gets his blood the baby gets his blood group or whatever from the father, not from the mother. And even when the baby is in the mother's womb, the blood supply for the child, for the baby, is the baby's own blood supply. It doesn't come from the mother. So the mother's not supplying blood. The umbilical cord that goes from the mother to the baby, what does it do? It performs two jobs. What does it do? It takes nutrients from the mother to feed the baby, and it does one more thing. What else? What do you think? What do you think would be the other thing? It takes all the dirt from the baby, all the excrement, and then the mother takes it and passes it out, okay? So that's the only two jobs that the umbilical cord. There's no blood, there's no transfer of blood. This is the reason why the only way that Jesus had come to earth, incarnate, right? Remember we talked about carne being flesh? And so incarnate means in flesh. The only way he could come to this earth, wrapped in flesh, as a little baby, would have to be through the virgin, because the father's DNA would have nothing to do with it. Do you understand? And if you study biology, you'll understand the chromosomes, because it's too deep to go into right now in this class. Okay, but that's the reason for the virgin birth. And this is what God promised him at the virgin birth. So, let's go through the Bible really quick. Where's the first instance that we think of in the New Testament where Jesus shows that I don't think he did it on purpose, but it would show that he was a little bit uncaring towards his parents. Where do you think? This happened when he was 12 years old. I'm going to give you a hint. 12 years old. What happened when Jesus was 12? He left his parents. Well, he didn't leave his parents, but he stayed behind in the church without joining the caravan. And his mom and dad went out a day's journey, and they suddenly realized that Jesus was not there. So they got really upset. Can you imagine if your mom and dad, when you were a little kid, if your mom and dad took you to the bazaar or like HEB or something, and then she just turns around for a second, and when she turns around, you're not there anymore? Can you imagine the stress that that mother would go through? Can you imagine what Mary and Joseph went through? And the way people would travel in those days was a little different from how we travel. They would all go like a huge family, or cousins and cousins and cousins and cousins, all from that little village. And they would all be in all in a row of caravans. And so all the little kids that were cousins would be jumping from one caravan to the other, right? That's probably why Mary and Joseph didn't realize that Jesus was missing, because they figured he was with his cousins in one of the other caravans. But when nighttime comes and they're sitting down for dinner, and they're asking, where's Jesus, where's Jesus, is he with you, is he with you? And Joseph was relaxed, because Joseph thought he's probably with Mary, and Mary thought he may have been with his dad. And so now nighttime comes, and then the finger pointing time starts, right? That is, you are to blame. Why didn't you take better care of him? Hey, I'm just his stepdad, you're his mom, why didn't you look after him? You know? Can you just imagine that scene playing out? And so finally, 1.5 days passes, and they turn around and they come back. So it takes them another day to get back to Jerusalem, and then a half a day to search for him, and they finally find him in the temple. And Mary and Joseph find him sitting with all the high priests and all of the Sanhedrin, and Jesus was teaching them scripture, right? He's 12 years old, and these guys have spent their whole lives studying Torah, studying the scriptures, but Jesus is the one who's explaining the Torah to them, and they say that this kid is full of wisdom. How is he able to explain the Torah to us? And Mary says to him, don't you know how worried your dad and your father and I were? And he turns around and he says, don't you know I would be in my father's house? So she's talking about Joseph, right? Because Joseph's his stepdad, but he's basically his dad, and he says, this is your dad. So what would that statement have been to Joseph? It would have been like a slap in the face, because Joseph says, man, I'm your stepdad, and I'm looking after you, and I'm keeping you in my house, and I'm feeding you, and I'm clothing you, and I'm taking care of you, and you don't even acknowledge me as your dad. You say that I'm going to be in my father's house. So he's not talking about the carpenter's house, right? He's very clearly and very plainly talking about which house? His dad's house. So he's already acknowledging that Joseph is not his dad, and he's telling his mother that he already knows that's not my dad, that's my dad, right? Don't you think that would be a slap in his stepfather's face? Right? So, the second incident happens when Jesus is older now, and he's walking around with 12 disciples. Jesus is a holy man. He's a prophet. At that time people didn't know he was God. He hadn't revealed himself to anybody, right? He hadn't even started his actual teaching ministry. He had just started off on his journey, and he's got these 12 guys with him. Now just think about it. If you're a friend of Jesus and you want to invite him to your house, you're going to think twice or 3 times or maybe even 4 times before you invite him, because you say, gosh man, if you invite this guy, he brings 12 guys along with him. So now we don't only have to feed him, we've got to feed 12 other guys. And we have to give them wine, and we've got to, take care of them. So think about it. Like supposing you have a friend, and you invite that friend to your house, and that friend says, okay, I'm coming, but I'm bringing 12 others with me. You think twice about inviting that person to your house, right? And so here's a wedding feast at Cana, and these people are already from a small village. They are poor. They don't have a lot of finances and resources. Guests are coming from all over, and Jesus comes, and he doesn't come alone. He brings 12 buddies along, and they're all sitting and drinking and having a good time with the wine, and the wine runs out, right? And Mary probably would have blamed Jesus, because she said, "Guy, if he hadn't brought these 12 guys, maybe the wine wouldn't have run out, right? Because these guys are all fishermen, and fishermen can put down some wine." So she comes to Jesus and she says, "You know that your cousin, right? Because that was his cousin's wedding that they were attending." And she told him that they've run out of wine. And Jesus turns around and he says, "What to you or me, woman?" Now just imagine if your mom tells you, go wash the dishes, and you go and stand in her face and say, "What to me or you, woman?" What do you think your mom's going to do to you? Huh? And that's how Jesus answered her, That's how he answered her. He said, "What's it to you? What's it to me? Why should I care? That's not my problem." Does that show you a kind and caring and loving and courageous and spiritful and reliable and admirable? Jesus shows you a different picture, right? Jesus is going with his disciples, and they're going through Samaria. Samaria is, for the Jews, no man's land. So when the Jews would go to Jerusalem from the south, and Samaria was in the middle, right? Rather than go through Samaria, they would go miles out of their way to bypass Samaria. Okay? Now to give you the history of Samaria and why they did that, that's a whole other Bible study. I don't have time for that right now. But Jesus, he doesn't go all the way around. Guess where Jesus decides to go? Through Samaria. So he's going through no man's land. For a Jew, that's a no man's territory, okay? That's dangerous ground for him, and he's taking the 12 with him too. So he comes to a well, and he's really thirsty. And he tells the disciples that he's hungry. He's tired, he's hungry, he's thirsty. So the disciples say, there's only a well here, right? It's not like there's a Mickey D's or a Burger King that we can go and get you something real quick to eat. So we have to go to a village close by to find some food, and then we'll come back. So they left him at the well, and they went to find a nearby village. Okay. Now just keep in mind the apostles and the disciples also taking a risk with their lives, because they are Jews and they are hated by the Samaritans, and they hate the Samaritans, and the Samaritans hate them. You remember the story of the Good Samaritan? Yes. So the Samaritans hate the Jews, and the Jews hate the Samaritans. So now they're going to a Samaritan village to find food for a Jewish rabbi, okay, and also for themselves. So they're taking some danger upon themselves. So while they're gone, there's this lady, and she's been married 6 times to 6 different men. And at that village, early in the morning, when it was cool and the sun wasn't up, because the women would have to come to the well, fill up water, and then they would put the pot on their heads, and they would have to walk back to their village. So it was a distance, and it was too hard to do that during the hot time of the sun, right? When the sun was out, so they would prefer to do it in the cool of the morning, when it was cooler. So they'd come early in the morning. But when you get a bunch of women together, so guess what they do? They're talking about each other. And guess who they always pick on? They always pick on this one lady to talk about, because they are all afraid of her that she might steal one of their men, right? Because she's always flipping husbands. So they don't like her, and she's like an outcast. So this lady, she doesn't go to the well to fill water for herself and her family in the cool of the day when all the other women come. When does she choose to go? She chooses to go at 12 in the afternoon. That's when the sun is at its hottest. But why does she choose that time? Because she knows at that time, nobody else is going to be around to be pointing fingers at her and talking about her behind her back. Right? So she comes to the well, and Jesus is sitting there chilling, waiting for his disciples to come back with food. And he asks her, so first of all, men in that time, they didn't speak directly to a woman. So he breaks the first taboo, Jesus, by speaking to a woman that he doesn't know. She's not his relative. She's not his girlfriend. He doesn't even know her from Adam, right? And he starts talking to her and he says, woman, can you give me a drink of water? So she looks at him and she says, you're a Jew, aren't you? And you're asking me for a cup of water? Why would she say that if there was no enmity between them, right? She recognized him because of the way he dressed. So she says, why are you asking me for a drink of water? You're a Jew and I'm a Samaritan. And you hate us and we hate you. And he said to her that if you knew who I was, you'd be asking me for a drink of water. Because if you give me this water to drink or you drink this water, you're going to thirst again, but the water I give you, you'll never thirst. So she said, sir, it seems like you're a prophet. So he says, yes, I am. So she says, do you know me? You know what he called her? He said, you're an adulteress. You have 6 husbands. You've been sleeping around with 6 different guys. And the one you're sleeping with right now is not even your husband. Can you imagine walking up to a woman that you've never met before in your life and you accuse her of being an adulteress or being free with her charms? That's what Jesus did with her. Okay? How about making people feel good and feel bad? We are taught in school and we are taught by our parents and everything. Don't be mean to other people. So there's this rich young ruler. He comes to Jesus and he says,